please, come in. Settle down for a moment. I have a story for you tonight, one from classical China, a tale of courage that's been echoing through the centuries. Listen, it is called Li Ji Jian She from the Soushen Ji.
So what does that title mean? Well, Li Ji is the name of our heroine, and Jian She is the action she performs. It means to slay the serpent. So the full title is Li Ji Slaying the Serpent. This story comes to us from the Soushen Ji, which you could translate as In Search of the Supernatural. It's a fascinating collection of strange and wonderful tales from the 4th century, a time when, the line between our world and the world of spirits felt, well, a lot thinner, a time when the impossible seemed just around the corner. So let's step into that world together.
Our story begins in the eastern lands of Minzhang, a place that lived in the shadow of a great mountain called Yongling Ridge. It was a silent, watchful presence over the whole region, and deep within it, something ancient and truly terrible had made its home.
You see, in a cavern on that ridge, there lived a monstrous serpent. The story said it was immense, over 70 feet long. Its body was so thick, it would take a whole group of men, arms outstretched, just to circle it. Any local official who dared to get too close, well, they were often killed. The people lived in a constant, quiet state of terror.
In their desperation, they tried to appease the beast. They brought offerings, cattle and sheep, to the mouth of its cave, hoping, praying that it would be enough to satisfy its hunger. But it was never enough. The fear didn't go away, it just seemed to get deeper, like a dark cloud that simply refused to lift.
And then the horror took on a new shape. The serpent started to make its wishes known through dreams that haunted the villagers, through the words of local shamans. Its demand was no longer for livestock. It wanted a human life. A young girl, just 12 or 13 years old, to be brought to it as a tribute.
The officials, feeling completely powerless against this supernatural threat, they actually complied. For years, they would find girls from poor families or families of criminals to feed the monster. And for 9 long years, 9 young lives had been lost, swallowed by the darkness of that cave.
So as the time came for the 10th sacrifice, the dreadful search began all over again. Now in the county of Jiangle, there was a man named Li Dan. He was a father to 6 daughters, but he had no sons to carry on the family name, which, in those days, was a heavy burden to bear. A future that felt very uncertain. And it was Li Dan's youngest daughter, a girl named Li Ji, who quietly stepped forward. She offered to go. She volunteered herself to be the 10th tribute for the Serpent of Yongling Ridge.
As you can imagine, her parents were absolutely horrified. They refused to even think about it. But Li Ji was firm. She said to them, "You have 6 daughters and no son. It's as if you have no children at all. I can't help you the way a son could. I just use up your food and clothes. Since I'm of no real use to you, it's better that I die early. If you sell me for this tribute, you'll at least get a little money to live on. Isn't that for the best?"
Her words sounded so painfully practical, but of course, her parents' love for her was stronger. They pleaded with her, they forbade her to go, and yet Li Ji's mind was set. Seeing that they would never agree, she slipped away from home in secret, completely determined to face the fate she had chosen for herself.
But you have to understand, Li Ji wasn't just walking to her death like a helpless victim. No, she was walking toward a confrontation, and she had a plan. Her goal wasn't just to sacrifice herself, it was to end the terror that had held her people captive for so long. She went straight to the officials and made her requests. She didn't ask for fine clothes or comfort. She asked for 3 things: a sharp, well-made sword, a strong dog, one that was trained to bite and attack serpents, and a large amount of rice to be made into cakes and sweetened with honeyed malt sugar. Her requests were granted.
On the first day of the 8th month, the day of the sacrifice, Li Ji made her way to the temple near the serpent's cave. She didn't cry, she didn't tremble, she just sat down, her sword hidden in her robes, her fierce dog at her side, and she waited.
She took the sweet, fragrant rice cakes and she placed them carefully at the entrance to the dark cavern. The scent began to drift into the deep, dark places of the earth, a sweet invitation to come out into the light. And soon enough, the serpent emerged. Its head, it was as huge as a grain silo. Its enormous eyes shimmered like 2-foot-wide mirrors. It smelled the sweet aroma of the rice cakes, and, completely ignoring the small girl sitting nearby, it moved right for the food.
As the monster began to devour the bait, its attention totally fixed on its meal. Li Ji unleashed her dog. The brave animal lunged, sinking its teeth deep into the serpent, distracting the great beast with a sudden, sharp pain.
In that single moment of confusion, Li Ji drew her sword. She didn't hesitate for a second. She ran right up behind the creature and struck it, again and again, carving deep wounds with every single blow.
Roaring in agony from the wounds, the serpent thrashed wildly. It threw its massive body out of the cave, writhing in pain, until at last, in the open courtyard of the temple, it fell still, and it died. The terror of Yongling Ridge was finally over.
With the monster dead, Li Ji calmly walked past its enormous body, and she entered the cave. She stepped into the very darkness that had consumed 9 other girls before her, to see what was inside.
And there she found them. Piled in the back of the cavern were the skulls of the 9 girls who had been sacrificed. It was a grim, silent monument to all those years of fear.
Li Ji gathered the skulls carefully. She looked at them not with scorn, but with a deep, profound sorrow, and she said quietly, "You were overcome by fear, and so you were devoured. It is a great pity." And then, carrying the skulls, she began the slow walk home.
Well, as you might guess, word of her deeds spread like wildfire. When the king of Yue heard the story of this young girl who had faced a monster not just with bravery, but with wisdom, he was deeply moved. He sent for Li Ji, and he made her his queen. Her father was appointed the magistrate of their home county, and her mother and sisters all received generous gifts. Her single act of courage had changed her family's destiny forever. From that day on, no other monsters or evil spirits were ever reported in that land. The region was finally at peace. And the story of Li Ji, the girl who slew the great serpent, was woven into songs that they say are still sung by the people there, even to this day. And so, the story of Li Ji comes to its end. Her words to the skulls, they might sound a little harsh to our ears, but she was the one who walked into the darkness that had paralyzed everyone else. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Perhaps true courage isn't the absence of fear at all. Perhaps it's just the quiet resolve to act, with a clear mind, right in the very face of